What if the moon crashed into Earth? Imagine for a moment a night sky so familiar that you can almost feel the cool air on your skin, the soft rustle of leaves above you, and the gentle rhythm of your own breathing as you gaze upward. But tonight something is different. Something impossibly vast and silent is moving closer. A glowing orb that has watched over humanity for countless ages, now drifting ever nearer. Its pale face growing larger with every passing hour, filling the heavens with a presence both mesmerizing and terrifying. And as you watch, you begin to wonder how such an event would unfold, how the world beneath your feet would respond, how the tides and winds and very crust of the planet would react to the approach of a companion that has always been safely distant, yet intimately tied to the pulse of life on Earth. And in this thought experiment, we embark on a slow and deliberate journey, exploring step by step the unfolding of a scenario that is at once impossible and illuminating. For by imagining the unimaginable, we come to see more clearly the delicate balances that cradle our existence, the unseen forces that shape every dawn and every tide and every heartbeat. And so we begin our calm exploration of what it would mean if the moon itself, our constant satellite and silent storyteller, were to collide with the Earth. As you settle into this vision, picture the moon not as a distant pearl, but as a massive world in its own right, with mountains, taller than the tallest ranges on Earth, and plains of ancient frozen lava, where no wind has blown for billions of years. A place where footprints from a handful of human visitors still rest undisturbed in the fine grey dust. A body locked in an eternal dance with our planet, always showing the same face, always exerting its gentle pull on our oceans, our rotation, and even on the cycles of life that evolved under its watchful glow. Now imagine that this dance begins to falter, perhaps nudged by a cosmic accident or an unseen force, so that its orbit starts to decay. Its slow drift outward reversed until it begins a long fall back toward the Earth. And as this begins, the first effects are subtle. A slight increase in tides that rise a little higher with each passing week. A faint tremor in the length of days as the balance of angular momentum shifts. At first it is a curiosity, then a warning, and then a steadily building presence that reshapes every aspect of life. The oceans respond first, with tides climbing higher and higher until familiar coastlines are redrawn and entire estuaries are swallowed by the returning sea twice each day. Rivers back up, deltas vanish, and the rhythm of marine life is thrown into confusion as the gravitational pull above grows stronger. The atmosphere too begins to stir with unusual winds, as the interplay of ocean currents and air currents changes. Storms grow in intensity, but also in strange new patterns unfamiliar to meteorologists, and people look up at night to see the moon looming larger than ever before, its craters visible without telescopes, its glow bright enough to cast sharp shadows at midnight, and with every passing month it appears closer, heavier, almost pressing down upon the world. At the same time, the deep interior of the Earth begins to feel the stress of this approaching mass. The crust flexes under greater tidal forces. Volcanoes awaken along fault lines that have been quiet for centuries. Subtle but measurable bulges rise and fall in the ground, as if the planet itself were breathing under strain. And scientists speak in hushed tones about the inevitable trajectory that is bringing the two bodies together, while ordinary people feel a mixture of awe and dread as the sky becomes dominated by a world that once seemed small and benign, now vast and inevitable. Consider too the effect on the orbit itself. As the moon spirals inward, it does not simply fall straight down, but begins to break apart under the competing pulls of gravity, forming a glowing arc of debris that circles the Earth like a second set of rings, fragments of rock burning through the upper atmosphere as streaks of light, while larger chunks survive to strike the surface as meteor showers unlike any in recorded history. And through it all, the slow, majestic movement continues, the final approach of two worlds locked together by gravity and history. In this imagined future, cities are relocated away from coasts, but even inland regions feel the tremors and see the changing sky. Agriculture is altered by the new tides and shifting climates, and cultures respond with myths, both old and new, about the return of a celestial mother or the fall of a celestial judge. The human mind reaching for meaning, as it always does when confronted by forces larger than itself. Yet amid the upheaval, there is also a strange beauty, a chance to witness cosmic dynamics on a scale usually hidden by the vastness of space and time. A reminder that our world is not a fixed stage, but a participant in an endless dance of creation and destruction. As the final days approach, the moon fills half the sky, its mountains visible as jagged silhouettes against the stars, its gravitational pull lifting tides hundreds of feet high that race around the planet like moving walls of water. The crust of the Earth groans and splits, continents shift, and a chorus of earthquakes and eruptions marks the last convulsions of a system pushed beyond its equilibrium. Yet even now there is a slow majesty to the motion, for gravity is patient and thorough, drawing the two spheres together in a spiraling embrace. When contact finally occurs, it is not a single impact, but a merging of energies on a scale beyond comprehension. Rock and metal vaporize, oceans flash into steam, the atmosphere is stripped and reshaped, and in the aftermath a new world forms from the molten debris. Perhaps a planet slightly larger than Earth as we know it, perhaps surrounded by a ring system of glowing rock and ice, a newborn sphere cooling slowly under a dimmed sun. And though all familiar life would be erased, the process itself is part of the same cosmic cycle that built our world from earlier collisions billions of years ago. The same dance of matter and energy that gave rise to mountains, seas, and eventually to creatures who could look up and wonder about their place in the vastness. This scenario is, of course, a thought experiment, a way to imagine the consequences of altering one of the fundamental relationships in our solar system, and by tracing its unfolding, we come to appreciate more deeply the stability we take for granted, the subtle balances of mass and motion that allow seasons to follow one another, and tides to nourish coastlines and nights to be lit by a gentle silver glow. We see that our moon is not just an ornament in the sky, but an active partner in the rhythms of our planet, and that its distance and size and orbital period are all part of a delicate harmony that makes our world what it is. In the quiet after this vision, you might find yourself thinking of the moon differently, not just as a pale disk, but as a reminder of how interconnected everything is, how even across hundreds of thousands of miles, two bodies can shape each other's destinies, and how rare and precious such stability is in a universe of ceaseless change. And perhaps you will feel a deeper sense of calm, knowing that for now the moon is drifting slowly away rather than toward us, its orbit widening at a rate of only inches each year, a sign of the long, gentle processes that govern our cosmic neighborhood. As our journey of imagination draws to a close, we slow our pace even further, allowing each image to settle like soft dust on the mind. The vast tides receding, the sky darkening, the moon shrinking back to its familiar size in your inner vision, until once again you are lying beneath a quiet night sky, the air cool, the leaves whispering, the world steady and whole, and you breathe deeply with a renewed sense of connection to the delicate balances that sustain life on this planet, knowing that even the most dramatic cosmic scenarios can reveal truths about the beauty of the present moment and the fragility of all we hold dear. As we continue this imagined narrative, allow yourself to drift deeper into the calm, steady rhythm of the story, as if you were following a slow-moving river at dusk, its waters reflecting the last pale light of the moon, now restored to its proper place in your inner sky. And as you float along, you begin to sense the layers of meaning that such a scenario carries beyond the spectacle of crashing worlds. For in contemplating the moon colliding with the Earth, we are also contemplating the forces of change and impermanence that shape our lives, the way cycles begin and end, the way relationships evolve and dissolve, and the way stability can give rise to complacency even as it shelters us from chaos. And so this thought experiment becomes a meditation on fragility, resilience, and the interdependence of all things. Imagine now returning to the very beginning of our solar system, when countless fragments of rock and ice spun around a newborn sun, colliding and merging over millions of years to form the planets we know today, including the Earth and the Moon, which themselves may have begun as a single body, shattered by a massive impact, and then reassembled into two companions bound forever by gravity, their history written in craters and basins and orbits, their silent story unfolding above every generation of humans who looked up and wondered at the pale glow that guided travelers, marked the passage of time, and inspired myths of gods and lovers, hunters and guardians. And by recalling this ancient past, we see that the imagined future of a collision is not merely fantasy, but a mirror of what has already happened countless times across the cosmos. Allow your mind to picture the gravitational fields between Earth and Moon as invisible tides of energy flowing back and forth, subtly slowing the rotation of our planet, subtly pushing the moon farther away, a balance so delicate that even minor changes could ripple through the entire system, altering the length of days, the rhythm of tides, and the stability of climate. And realize that every breath you take, every wave on the shore, every cycle of migration in the seas, is linked to this silent exchange of momentum that has been unfolding for billions of years. And in this awareness, there is a quiet wonder, a sense of belonging to a vast and intricate dance. Now imagine you are standing on a high plateau, under a sky full of stars, the moon rising huge and luminous on the horizon, as if you could reach out and touch its rugged plains and shadowed craters. And as you watch it climb, you feel the pull of its gravity, not just on the oceans but on your own body. A faint but real tug connecting you to a world far away. And you sense that connection growing stronger with each passing moment until the line between Earth and Moon seems to blur. Two worlds approaching, two histories converging. And yet in the stillness of your mind you can also feel the slow inevitability of time, the way even the most dramatic events unfold in steps so gradual that they can seem invisible until they are upon us. And in that recognition, there is a lesson about patience, awareness, and humility. The collision we have envisioned is catastrophic in physical terms, but also profoundly creative. For from the wreckage of such an event could emerge a new configuration of matter, a new planet or ring system, a new set of conditions under which life might someday arise again. And this reminds us that destruction and creation are two sides of the same process, that endings make beginnings possible, and that the universe is not static, but a continual unfolding of forms, energies, and possibilities. And as you reflect on this, your breathing slows and deepens, your mind tracing the arc from cosmic violence to cosmic rebirth, finding a sense of peace in the vast cycles of which we are a part. Consider too how the human imagination can travel across scales of space and time far beyond our physical reach, allowing us to stand on a molten world, to drift through a ring of debris, to watch continents shift and oceans boil, and then to return to our own moment wiser and more appreciative of its quiet stability. And this capacity to imagine is itself a gift of the universe, an emergent property of matter that has organized itself into a self-aware pattern capable of wonder, storytelling, and foresight. And perhaps by exercising this imagination, we become better stewards of the present world, more attuned to the delicate balances that sustain it, and more committed to protecting them. As our journey nears its end, picture once more the Earth as it truly is now, spinning steadily under a calm sky, the moon drifting slowly outward inch by inch each year, the tides rising and falling in their familiar rhythm, the continents stable beneath our feet. And in this image find a sense of gratitude for the unlikely stability that allows life to flourish, a stability earned through countless past collisions and yet maintained for our brief moment of existence. And know that by imagining the loss of it, we deepen our appreciation of it. Finally, let the images fade like stars before dawn until you are left with a simple scene of a quiet night, a soft breeze, and a pale moon hanging safely above, its light gentle on the landscape, its pull gentle on the seas. And as you breathe in and out, feel your body settle, your thoughts slow, and your awareness expand to include not just yourself, but the vast network of forces and histories that have brought you to this moment. And as you rest in that awareness, carry with you a calm curiosity, a reflective wonder, and a renewed sense of connection to the fragile and beautiful balance of our world and its silent companion. As the vision settles into its final phase, imagine yourself drifting high above the Earth, where the thin blue line of the atmosphere curves gently against the black of space, and the moon floats at its steady distance, as it does now, serene and pale and constant. And from this vantage you can feel the calmness of cosmic order, the slow turning of the planet, the quiet breathing of clouds and oceans, and the subtle pull between worlds that has endured for eons. And as you hold this image, let your awareness travel across the landscapes below. Rivers winding through valleys, forests stretching to the horizon, cities glowing softly at night, all of them sustained by cycles shaped in part by the moon's presence, its influence written into tides, circadian rhythms, and the very tilt of the Earth's axis. which in turn gives rise to seasons and climates and the diversity of life that fills the planet. In the stillness of this perspective, you can appreciate that our companion in the sky is not a distant ornament, but an active participant in the story of life on Earth, shaping its evolution, guiding its rhythms and offering its light to countless generations of observers and dreamers. And in this realization, there is a deep sense of continuity, a feeling that the small acts of your own life are part of a much larger tapestry, woven from gravity, time, and chance. And as you rest in that thought, the imagined catastrophe of a collision fades into the background, replaced by a gentle respect for the precarious harmony that actually exists. Picture now the moon as it truly is at this moment, slowly drifting away from Earth at a pace so slight it is almost imperceptible, yet over millions of years, it accumulates into vast changes, lengthening our days, moderating our tides, and gradually altering the dance between rotation and revolution. And know that this outward drift is the opposite of the imagined inward spiral that led to collision. It is a sign of the long, slow processes that govern our solar system. Processes that unfold far beyond the scale of human lifetimes and yet shape every sunrise and sunset you will ever see. As you breathe deeply, imagine the cool night air on your skin, the scent of earth and grass, the soft murmur of distant waves or wind in the trees, and above you the moon shining safely, a reminder of the forces that nurture, as well as those that destroy, a symbol of both constancy and change. And let this image bring you a sense of calm curiosity and gentle awe for the universe in which you live, a universe vast enough to hold both cataclysm and tranquility, both beginnings and endings, both questions and the quiet space in which answers slowly form. Let your mind wander through the corridors of time, seeing in slow motion the birth of planets, the cooling of crusts, the rise of oceans, the emergence of life, and the long arc of evolution that has led to this moment where a being can sit quietly. At night, imagining the moon crashing into the earth, and through imagination, come to cherish more deeply the fragile stability that actually exists. And as you hold this awareness, feel your own life as part of that arc, a brief, luminous thread in a tapestry that stretches across billions of years and countless stars. In the closing moments of this inner journey, allow the images to soften until they are no longer vivid scenes, but gentle impressions like the fading glow of twilight. Let the imagined tides subside, the imagined quakes still, and the imagined sky clear to reveal once more the familiar moon, small and calm above a sleeping world. And in that quiet return, find a reflective peace, a slow, steady breath, and a sense of gratitude for the delicate balances that sustain you right now. With this calm reflection, you arrive at the end of the journey, not with a crash, but with a slow exhale, a settling of thoughts, and a deepened connection to the mystery of existence. And as you rest in that space, may the vastness of what you have imagined remind you of the beauty of what already is steady, fragile and wondrous beneath the silent gaze of the moon. Now let your imagination drift beyond the orbit of the moon to the rest of the solar system, where the giant planets circle slowly under the same sun, their immense gravity shaping belts of asteroids and shepherding swarms of comets. And you can feel how even the smallest change in one orbit can ripple outward, altering the delicate balances of countless other bodies. And this gives you a sense of just how interconnected everything truly is, not only on Earth but across space and time. And in this awareness, you begin to appreciate that the scenario of the moon crashing into the Earth is not an isolated event, but part of a larger cosmic pattern of encounters, collisions and mergers through which the solar system and the galaxy itself continually evolve. Imagine drifting still further until you can see the Milky Way as a great spiral of light and dark lanes stretching across the void within it, billions of stars each, with its own worlds, many of them enduring their own cycles of stability and upheaval, some hosting moons larger than ours, some with none at all, some already transformed by titanic impacts that melted and reshaped their crusts. And yet out of all this chaos emerges order, out of all these collisions emerges new worlds, new possibilities, and perhaps even new life. And as you float there in your mind, you feel a quiet kinship with all of it, The same matter, the same forces, the same story of change and resilience, playing out on scales so vast they dwarf even the most dramatic events you can imagine. Bring your attention slowly back toward Earth and the Moon, which now in your inner vision are once again stable companions, orbiting their common center of gravity, a delicate dance that has persisted for billions of years and will persist for billions more, a dance that moderates the tilt of our planet, stabilizes our climate, guides the tides and influences the rhythms of life and culture and myth. And as you picture this, you can feel a sense of safety and gratitude blooming inside you. The knowledge that, in reality, the moon is drifting away, not falling toward us. The knowledge that what you have just imagined is a lesson rather than a prophecy. Let this knowledge settle like soft dust in the quiet corners of your mind, your breathing slow and even, your body at rest as you continue to listen to the gentle narrative, the story now becoming less about catastrophe and more about connection, less about endings and more about the fragile continuities that sustain you and everything, you know. And in this state of calm awareness, you might think of the moon rising tonight over forests and deserts and seas, over cities where millions of people go about their lives unaware of its silent influence, yet still guided by it in ways both subtle and profound. Picture again the silver light of moonrise on water, turning every ripple into a thread of light. Picture the long shadows it casts across a snowy field. Picture the way its presence marks time for creatures that migrate, breed, or hunt. By its glow, picture the way poets and scientists alike have been inspired by its beauty and mystery, and see how this small world locked to ours has shaped not only the physical, but also the emotional and cultural landscapes of humanity. And as you hold these images, you feel a deepening calm, a sense of being part of a story far larger than yourself, a story still unfolding under the same sky. Now your awareness expands once more to include the whole planet, a living sphere bathed in light, turning slowly under a star with a companion that tugs at its oceans, steadies its axis, and glows softly at night. And you sense that the true gift of this thought experiment is not the thrill of imagining disaster, but the gentle realization of how rare and precious this balance is, how extraordinary it is that such a relationship exists at all, and how every tide, every cycle of life, every calm night under a full moon is part of that extraordinary gift. Let this realization deepen as you breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly, your body relaxing into the rhythm of the words, the images fading into soft impressions, the story coming to a natural resting place like a river reaching the sea, calm, wide, and reflective. And in that stillness you find yourself back under a familiar night sky, the moon safe and distant, the world steady beneath your feet, and a quiet gratitude filling your mind. As you remain under this imagined night sky, feel the subtle pull of gravity, as something more than a force of physics. Feel it as a gentle thread connecting you to everything else in the universe, to the oceans that rise and fall, to the mountains that slowly erode to the orbits of planets and the turning of galaxies. And let that sense of connection deepen with each breath until it becomes a quiet certainty that you are part of a vast and intricate whole, and that this whole has a rhythm and a patience far beyond your own, yet you belong to it nonetheless. Imagine now walking slowly along a quiet shoreline at night, the sand cool under your feet, the waves whispering as they come in and draw back the silver path of the moon shimmering across the water, leading your eyes to the horizon and beyond. And as you walk, you feel the gentle air on your skin and the steady beating of your heart, and you realize that the very tides at your feet are the direct touch of the moon upon the earth, a sign of the constant relationship that has endured through eons, shaping not only the planet, but also the conditions that allow you to exist and think and dream in this moment. Let your mind drift to the deep past, when Earth spun faster and the days were shorter, and the moon was closer and the tides were stronger, and the world was a different place, yet still part of the same unfolding story. And picture in your imagination how life adapted to these changing conditions, how the pull of the moon may have guided early organisms in their rhythms, how the interplay of land and sea, driven by tides, created fertile zones where life could thrive and diversify. And in seeing this, you understand that the moon has been not only a companion, but also a catalyst, a quiet sculptor of possibilities. As you follow this thread through time, you arrive again at the present with its familiar balance, its steady cycles, its gentle, silver nights, and you feel a renewed appreciation for this moment, for the improbable stability of it, for the countless cosmic events that had to occur to make it possible, and you let that appreciation settle in your body like warmth spreading from your chest outward until every muscle softens and every thought slows to the pace of the waves. Now think of the future in its true form, not the imagined catastrophe, but the long, slow drift outward, the moon moving a little farther away each year, the days on Earth lengthening almost imperceptibly, the tides shifting over millions of years, a gradual change that will shape climates and coastlines for species yet to come, and see how, even in this slow change, there is a continuity, a handing on of conditions from one epoch to another, a continuity that allows life to adapt and persist and evolve. Picture again from high above the Earth, the blue and white of oceans and clouds, the dark continents, the thin line of atmosphere and beyond, yet the pale companion moon circling at a respectful distance, and as you watch you sense not threat but reassurance, a reminder that for now the dance is stable and the sky is calm, and that within this stability there is space for you to rest, to breathe and to wonder. Let the images fade gradually, as if a gentle mist is drifting across them, softening every outline, leaving only impressions of light and motion and a lingering sense of vastness. And in that mist, you find yourself returning slowly to the simple reality of your own breath in and out, steady and calm under a quiet night sky where the moon hangs safely above you. In this final stretch of the journey, you may feel a deep stillness settling in your thoughts like the surface of a lake at dawn, undisturbed and reflective, and in that stillness you can hold both the imagined and the real, the collision and the stability, the fragility and the resilience, and by holding both you come to rest in a deeper awareness of how precious and beautiful the present moment is. As you sit within this awareness, the boundaries between the images you have imagined and the reality of your surroundings begin to soften until the two feel like aspects of the same vast story, unfolding in different layers of time and space. And in this quiet place, your mind drifts across the great tapestry of the cosmos, where stars are born from clouds of dust and gas, where planets form and spin, and where moons rise and fall in endless cycles of attraction and release, and you sense that every moment of your life is held within these cycles, every heartbeat, every thought, every dream, a ripple in the larger sea of existence. And as you feel this, you begin to understand that even the most catastrophic scenarios hold within them lessons about patience, humility, and the preciousness of balance. Imagine now the gentle turning of the earth beneath your feet, the continents sliding slowly on molten rock, the oceans circulating their currents, driven by winds and tides and heat from the sun, and deep within this living system, the silent pull of the moon guiding the rhythm of waters and winds, a force so constant it is almost invisible, yet essential to everything you know. And as you let this picture form in your mind, you feel a sense of gratitude rising like a tide inside you. Gratitude for the conditions that allow life to flourish. Gratitude for the calm nights and the silver glow above. Gratitude for the opportunity to imagine and to learn. Allow your imagination to wander once more to the edge of the solar system, where icy bodies drift in darkness far from the sun, yet still bound by its gravity, and know that the same laws that hold them also hold you. The same quiet order, the same unfolding story, and as you picture this distant region, you feel the vastness of space not as emptiness, but as potential, as a silent expanse filled with possibilities waiting to take form. And you rest in that sense of possibility, letting it wash over you like a soft wave. Bring your focus gently back to the night sky above you. The moon now small and steady again, its light falling across fields and rivers, across rooftops and forests, across sleeping cities and quiet deserts. And as you watch it, you realize that it is more than a rock, more than a satellite. It is a companion, a reminder of cycles and change, a guide for your inner tides. And in this realization, you find a deep calm, a soft steadying of the mind, a connection to something larger and older than yourself, Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs slow and deep, matching the rhythm of the waves on a shore, matching the rhythm of your own heartbeat. And know that you are part of the same cosmic dance that moves oceans and moons, that shapes stars and galaxies, and that within this dance there is a place for stillness, for reflection, for gratitude, and for rest. As you remain within this inner stillness, the imagined sky above you deepens into a velvety black, scattered with countless stars, each one a sun with its own unseen worlds and moons, and you realize that your small planet with its single familiar satellite is part of an immeasurable ocean of similar stories, some stable, some chaotic, some beginning and some ending. And in this recognition there is a tender humility, a soft acceptance that change and impermanence are woven into the fabric of existence, yet so too is renewal and balance and beauty, waiting to emerge again and again. Picture yourself standing on a quiet hillside as the moon rises in its true gentle orbit, casting a silver path across the landscape, the grass moving softly in a breeze scented with earth and water, the sounds of night creatures carrying on their ancient routines under its glow, and you breathe in and out, letting the cool air fill you and empty you as you watch the familiar companion climb steadily into the sky, its presence calm and constant. And in that moment you understand that this very ordinariness is extraordinary, that the absence of catastrophe is a gift that allows life to bloom, thought to arise, and imagination to wander. Let your mind drift backward and forward in time, tracing the long arcs of planetary history, the formation of oceans, the drift of continents, the rise and fall of climates, the slow outward journey of the moon, and see how across all these changes, life has persisted, adapting, evolving, finding niches of possibility, shaped by the cycles of day and night, tide and season, moonrise and moonset, and feel within yourself a kinship with that persistence, a quiet resilience that echoes the patience of the cosmos itself. Now bring your attention to your own body, sitting or lying as you listen, feeling the steady beat of your heart, the movement of air through your lungs, the subtle play of gravity across your limbs, and know that even here in this small personal space, the same forces are at work, tides of blood and breath rhythms, guided by cycles of light and dark, inherited from an ancient past and sustained by a present balance that you share with every other living being under the moon. In the final moments of this journey, allow all images to dissolve into a soft glow like moonlight diffused through mist, leaving only a sense of spaciousness and calm within you, a quiet gratitude for the delicate harmonies that hold your world, a gentle awareness of impermanence without fear, and a lingering wonder at the mystery of existence itself. And as you rest in that state, feel your thoughts slow, your breath deepen, and your awareness expand to fill the space around you like the slow rising of a tide under a peaceful night sky. As you drift further into this calm inner space, the imagined world becomes very quiet and spacious, like a vast landscape just after dawn, where the air is cool and clear and everything seems to pause for a moment before the day begins. And in that pause you feel the presence of the moon above you, not as a threat, but as a steady companion, casting its soft light across the surface of oceans and mountains, forests and deserts, and you understand that this gentle light has touched every living thing on Earth for billions of years, shaping tides, guiding migrations, inspiring myths and dreams, and in this understanding there is a deep and settling peace. You may now imagine yourself standing at the edge of a wide, tranquil lake under a sky filled with stars. The water so still it mirrors the heavens perfectly, and above the reflection of the stars, the moon floats serene and pale, and as you watch it, you feel a sense of belonging. A sense that you and the moon and the lake and the stars are all part of one continuous field of being, and that the quiet rhythms connecting them also flow through you, your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts, all moving in time with a larger pulse that has no beginning and no end. Let your awareness drift up into the sky and out into space, past the orbit of the moon, into the great darkness between worlds where there is no sound, but where light travels endlessly carrying the stories of stars and galaxies. And there you can see that every collision, every merging, every act of creation and destruction is part of a single dance of matter and energy endlessly transforming itself. and you feel within you a soft awe at this realization, a quiet wonder that in such a vast and restless universe, a small blue planet could exist with a gentle moon circling it, creating conditions stable enough for life, for consciousness, for imagination. Return gently to your own body, now sensing the weight of it on the surface beneath you, the touch of air on your skin, the rhythm of your breathing slow and deep and steady, and as you do, feel the imagined scenario of catastrophe fade away like a dream at sunrise, leaving behind only its lessons, about fragility and balance, about patience and interconnection, about the extraordinary beauty of the present moment. Picture once again the night sky as it truly is now, the moon at its safe distance, the tides rising and falling in their familiar pattern, the continent stable, the wind soft and the stars shining quietly above, and allow this image to fill you with a deep calm, a gratitude that the story you have just traveled is only a story, a gentle exercise of imagination that can deepen your appreciation for the delicate balances that sustain you and everything you love. Stay in that feeling for a while, breathing slowly, letting the sense of connection and gratitude grow with each inhale and settle with each exhale until you feel yourself as part of the same rhythm as the tides and the moon, as the turning of the earth, as the slow movement of galaxies, a rhythm vast and patient and enduring in which you are a living moment of awareness and peace. As the images within, you settle into a softer glow. Imagine that you are lying on a gentle slope of grass under a night sky, so clear that the stars look like quiet fires scattered across an infinite ocean, and the moon shines above at its true distance, serene and constant, casting a silvery path over the hills and forests and rivers of the earth. And as you watch it, you begin to sense not only its light, but also its story. A story of birth from cosmic dust, of a violent impact long ago, of countless orbits slowly shaping the rhythm of life on this planet, and of a future in which it will drift farther away, still a story written in silence and time. Feel the ground beneath you, the slow rotation of the earth carrying you from night toward day, the same rotation that the moon has gradually slowed over billions of years, a reminder of how even the gentlest of influences can shape the fate of worlds. And in that reminder, there is a lesson about patience, about the power of small, steady actions, about the invisible connections that link all things, and you allow that lesson to settle into your breathing. Each inhale a quiet acknowledgement, each exhale a release of tension. Now imagine rising gently from the ground and floating upward above the trees and rivers, above the mountains and clouds until you can see the curvature of the earth, the thin blue line of its atmosphere glowing faintly in starlight, and beyond it the moon circling steadily as it has for ages. And you realize that this view is real even if you are only picturing it, that at this very moment the planet spins, the oceans move, the moon orbits, and the stars shine, each part of a vast harmonious pattern that supports your existence. Let your awareness drift still higher until you can see the earth and moon together against the blackness of space, a small bright pair moving in their endless dance. And as you hold this vision in your mind, you feel a calm admiration for the stability of it, for the delicate balance of forces that keeps catastrophe at bay, for the improbability of a world where life can listen to stories and imagine other worlds and learn from those imaginings without having to endure their consequences. Bring your focus slowly back down to the simple act of breathing in and breathing out, your body at rest, your thoughts moving like gentle clouds across a quiet sky, and know that in this moment, under a safe and distant moon, you are part of the same cosmic story that you have been imagining, a story of cycles of change, of resilience, of fragile beauty, and in that knowledge find a deep, steady peace. As you lie there within the calm of your imagination, the soft glow of moonlight in your inner vision begins to blend with the darkness behind your closed eyes, until you are no longer looking at a scene but feeling it as a quiet rhythm pulsing through you, like the slow rise and fall of a tide. And in that rhythm, you sense how the moon has always been more than a companion in the sky. It has been a metronome for the planet, a gentle clock marking the passage of time, shaping cycles of water and wind, guiding migrations and patterns of life across the ages. And as you sense this, you feel yourself relax even further, as if you too are being guided by that ancient rhythm. Imagine now the gentle currents of the oceans moving under moonlight stretching across the entire planet, invisible from above, but powerful enough to carve coastlines and move heat and nutrients through the seas, sustaining the web of life. And you realize that every wave you have ever seen, every beach you have ever walked has been touched by the moon's pull, and that without it, the world would be unrecognizable. Its climates harsher, its axis less stable, its nights darker, and its tides unpredictable. And as you breathe in, you feel gratitude for this unseen stability. As you breathe out, you release any tension you are still holding. Let your awareness drift once more outward beyond the atmosphere, beyond the orbit of the moon, into the great space between planets where everything moves in silence, and yet everything is connected by gravity and light. And as you picture this vastness, you understand that even events as dramatic as a collision between worlds are only moments in a much larger unfolding, and that out of destruction new forms arise, new worlds are born, new cycles begin. And knowing this, you find a kind of peace with change itself, a quiet acceptance that all things transform, but that something enduring runs through it all. Return gently to the present moment, to the feel of air on your skin, the support beneath your body, the sound of your own breathing, and above you, in your mind's eye, the moon hangs small and steady again, a beacon of calm, a symbol of cycles, a guide for your inner tides. And as you hold this image, you feel the story settling inside you, not as a threat, but as a lesson, a meditation on balance, fragility, and gratitude. Stay with this sense for a while, letting the edges of the imagined scene blur into a soft glow, letting your thoughts slow like water coming to rest in a quiet bay. And in that stillness, feel your connection to the planet under you, to the moon above you, and to the vast dance of which you are a living moment, breathing slowly, aware and at peace. Let your awareness sink deeper into the soft darkness of space, and imagine once more the Earth and Moon as a single image turning slowly together under the distant light of the sun, a blue and a white sphere accompanied by a pale grey world, both suspended in a black ocean filled with silent stars. And as you hold this image, begin to sense the subtle currents of energy and momentum flowing between them, the push and pull that has shaped the length of days, the rhythm of tides, the tilt of seasons, the very possibility of stability on which life depends. And in that sensing, feel a quiet respect for the invisible architecture of the cosmos, for the patient unfolding of its patterns, over spans of time so vast they can only be glimpsed through imagination. Now bring your focus to the surface of the moon itself, in your inner vision. Feel the fine, powdery dust beneath your feet. See the jagged rims of craters rising like frozen waves and the deep shadows where sunlight never reaches. And know that this barren silence is the other half of the dance, a record of impacts and cycles that mirrors the history of the Earth without the erosion of air or water to erase it, a memory, written in stone of the countless encounters and near misses that shaped our corner of the solar system. And as you look back at the Earth from this imagined vantage, you see the fragile blue line of atmosphere glowing softly, the swirl of clouds, the glint of oceans, and you realize how thin and precious it is, a delicate membrane of life held in place by gravity, warmed by the sun, steadied by the moon. Allow your imagination to drift forward in time, along the real path of the moon's slow, outward journey. Picture the days on Earth lengthening by fractions of a second. Each century, picture the tides adjusting their patterns. Picture the gradual changes in climate and coastlines, and know that even though these shifts are imperceptible, within a human life they are constant and inexorable, shaping the long future of the planet for species yet to come. And in this awareness, find a sense of continuity, a reassurance that stability and change are not opposites but companions, each necessary for the other to exist. Let the scene soften and change until you are once again standing on a quiet shore at night, the moon high and silver above the water, casting a path of light toward you across the rippling surface. And as you stand, there feel the sand cool under your feet. Hear the gentle lap of waves, smell the salt and the damp earth, and know that you are touching a moment that contains billions of years of history, a moment made possible by balances and forces that have endured far beyond human memory. And in that knowing, your breathing slows, your thoughts settle, and you feel yourself becoming part of the rhythm of the scene. Now imagine turning inward, bringing that sense of rhythm and connection into your own body, feeling the pulse of blood through your veins, the rise and fall of your chest with each breath, the subtle shift of weight with each heartbeat, and recognize that these cycles too are shaped by cosmic conditions, by the day and night, the seasons, the tides, and by countless evolutionary steps, guided in part by the moon's pull and presence. And in recognizing this, you feel a tender gratitude for the unbroken chain of events that led from stars to planets to oceans to life, to you listening quietly under the moon. Let your awareness float once more above the planet and look down at the glowing thread of cities at night like constellations on the dark surface, and think of how every culture under this sky has woven stories about the moon, stories of love and longing, of fertility and guidance, of madness and magic, of gods and travelers and guardians. And see how this one small world has shaped not only the physics, but also the imaginations of humanity, giving shape to art, music, calendars and myths. And as you hold this understanding, you feel the imagined catastrophe dissolve into something else, a meditation on how deeply you are woven into a universe that is at once fragile and immense. Breathe slowly as this first long block draws toward its close feeling. The images settle like soft dust on the mind, leaving behind a sense of wonder, patience and calm connection, and prepare to continue the journey deeper still into the quiet rhythms of space and time. Let your mind drift seamlessly onward from the shoreline into a deeper, slower current of thought, as if you were following a river that flows not through land but through time itself, carrying with it memories of oceans forming continents, shifting atmospheres, thickening and thinning, and moons being captured and released. And as you drift, you begin to see how the entire history of Earth has been a story of relationships, of bodies circling and influencing each other, of impacts that destroy and impacts that create, of balances lost and balances regained. And in this recognition, you feel a softening of fear, a growing sense of reverence for the hidden architecture of the cosmos, and a quiet awe that out of such vast and violent processes could arise a world stable enough for life to flourish and for consciousness to imagine its own origins. Imagine now descending gently from the heights of space, back down through the thin blue veil of atmosphere, feeling it warm against your skin like a soft breeze, until you stand once more on the surface of Earth at night, beneath a sky full of stars, the moon rising calm and bright above the horizon. And as you watch it climb, you are aware of how many generations have stood where you stand now, eyes lifted, breathing slowly, hearts stirred by the same silver light. And you sense yourself as a link in an unbroken chain of witnesses, stretching back into prehistory, when the first humans carved its image on bone, or painted it on cave walls, and forward into the future, when people yet unborn will still look up at its glow, perhaps from the surface of other worlds. Let your awareness move across the landscapes illuminated by moonlight, mountains sleeping under snow forests, whispering with nocturnal life, deserts glowing faintly, sands cool under the stars, cities quiet in their dreaming, and oceans breathing in and out along their coasts. And see how all of these scenes are tied together by the moon's pull, shaping tides, regulating cycles, influencing climates, guiding migrations, and imagine the invisible threads of gravity connecting each droplet of water, each grain of sand, each heartbeat, to that distant companion, a web of forces so gentle yet so pervasive that without it, nothing on Earth would be quite the same. Allow yourself now to picture the moon not as a single world, but as a storyteller, its surface etched with the memory of collisions, its craters like pages in a book, recording the history of the solar system, a history the Earth shares but cannot show because air and water have erased its oldest scars. And as you contemplate this lunar record, you feel the imagined catastrophe shift again in meaning, revealing itself as a mirror of ancient truths that our world has already been born from impact and fire, and has emerged balanced and whole enough to support life and awareness. Return once more to your own breath, steady and deep, each inhale bringing a sense of spaciousness, each exhale releasing tension, and in that rhythm feel yourself aligned with the larger rhythms of day and night, tide and season, orbit and rotation, a living expression of cosmic cycles. And as you settle into this awareness, you sense that the moon above you is not merely an external object, but also an inner presence, a symbol of continuity, a guide for the ebb and flow of your own thoughts, emotions and dreams. Picture again the slow outward drift of the moon across future ages, days lengthening, tides evolving, climates shifting, and know that within these changes there will still be patterns of stability within stability, patterns of change, and that life will continue to adapt, to find niches, to evolve new forms under new conditions, as it has always done. And in this understanding there is a calm acceptance, a release from the need to cling, a recognition that you are part of something vast, enduring, and endlessly transforming. Let the images soften as if a mist is rising from a quiet valley at dawn, the moon fading into pale sky, the stars dimming as sunlight approaches, leaving only a sense of spaciousness and calm within you, a quiet gratitude for the delicate harmonies that hold your world, and a lingering wonder at the mystery of existence itself, as you rest in that awareness, breathing slowly and steadily under the imagined sky. As the mist of your imagination clears, you find yourself once more beneath a vast and silent sky at the edge of a tranquil sea, where the tide has reached its highest point and is now slowly receding, leaving behind glistening ripples in the sand and pools of water that reflect the moon above and in. That reflection you see not only a pale circle of light, but also the story you have just traveled, a journey through catastrophe and balance, through the fragility and resilience of worlds. And as you watch the reflection tremble slightly with each retreating wave, you realize that even the grandest cosmic scenarios are like these ripples, temporary patterns within a much larger sea. Feel the cool sand beneath your feet and the soft night air against your skin, and allow the imagined future of collision to dissolve completely, until only the present remains a present, in which the moon hangs safely in the sky, distant and steady, casting its gentle pull on the oceans and on your own inner tides. And in this present moment, there is no disaster, only a quiet partnership between Earth and Moon, a dance of gravity and time that has nurtured life-shaped climates and guided the rhythms of countless generations. Now imagine lifting your gaze from the reflection in the water to the real moon above, seeing it as it truly is, serene and constant, its craters glowing softly, its light spreading across the world, touching forests, mountains, cities and seas, and touching you as well. And in that touch you sense a kinship with everything. Under its glow, the vast web of life, the slow turning of the planet, the silent sweep of stars overhead, and you breathe in deeply, filling your lungs with cool air, and breathe out slowly, letting go of any lingering tension until your breath becomes as smooth and steady as the tide. Let your awareness expand once more to the whole planet, turning under the moon, continents bathed in moonlight, oceans breathing under its pull, clouds drifting in soft patterns across the atmosphere, and you see that this is not just a stage for life, but a living being itself, shaped and steadied by its companion. And as you watch from this imagined vantage, you feel a deep gratitude for the delicate balances that hold it all together. Balances so subtle and enduring that they make possible the quiet moment you are experiencing right now. Bring that gratitude inward into your own body, feeling it spread from your chest outward like warmth or light until it fills you completely, your muscles softening, your thoughts slowing, your heart settling into a gentle rhythm. And as you rest in that state, you understand that the true power of imagining a collision between the moon and Earth is not in the spectacle of destruction, but in the contrast it creates with reality, showing you how precious the current balance is, how extraordinary it is to live in a moment of stability under a safe and distant moon. Picture now the sky beginning to lighten at the horizon, as if dawn were approaching, the stars fading one by one, the moon growing pale in the brightening air, and the world around you waking quietly from the long night. And in this imagined dawn, you feel a renewal, a sense that every day is an opportunity to witness the miracle of this balance, to honor it in your own small ways by noticing the tides, the light, the rhythms of your own body, and by carrying within you a calm respect for the forces that hold everything together. As the scene dissolves completely, let yourself rest in the simple awareness of your breath, slow and deep, of your body, supported by the earth, of the quiet space around you, and of the moon safe above the world, turning steadily in its orbit, a silent guardian and storyteller. And let that awareness be your final image, a soft, steady glow in the mind like a candle in a dark room, reminding you of the beauty of balance, the inevitability of change, and the possibility of peace, even in a vast and restless universe. With this gentle closing, the full journey you have been following comes to an end, not with a crash but with a quiet settling like sand at the bottom of a clear pool, leaving you calm, thoughtful, and at ease under the silent gaze of the moon.